and that will be your phone.
So, hello everybody, I'm ZBeck. I'm very happy to see you all here today because this is a topic that I'm really passionate about and that I'm very excited to show to all of you. So, today I'll be talking about photography and specifically the effect of mobile phones on photography and society as a whole. So, I really got into photography around 3 years ago when I found an old Brownie box camera in my great aunt's attic. So, with that camera, I began just kind of taking some photos in my backyard, and I realized that it didn't give me a lot of control over the image because there was really no manual settings to it. So I progressed. I got an SLR, which allowed me to have more control over the image in camera, and I also learned some post-processing techniques. And I converted my entire bathroom into a dark room and started really learning how to produce film. So this was one of the images I shot and printed at the kind of the end of my time using film. So I've since then switched to digital, and I'm still kind of learning the ropes in terms of digital editing and shooting. So I kind of I did what Ms. Jackowitz was just talking about, where what's called a cold start, where I reached out to the Charlottesville Photography Initiative and asked if there would be anybody there who would be interested in mentoring me. So I got one email back from Ms. Terry Baiji, who is a senior portrait photographer in Greene County. She has also worked with the Central Virginian as a photojournalist. So as you'll see it on my research slide, that's also one of my topics of interest. So with her, I accompanied her on 2 different photo shoots with rising seniors, or with seniors, where I was actually able to take some of the photos that she used. So this is actually one of the photos I produced, where she allowed me to use a remote flash, which is a device that connects to the top of my camera in what's called the hot shoe, and it set off a flash that was in front of our subject. So that was really my first time working with external lighting, and it's something that I'd had no experience with prior. So I learned really a lot about staged photographs, which I never had the opportunity to produce until this point. She also taught me a lot about how a professional photographer functions, as well as how to operate as a photojournalist and deal with both the technical and emotional challenges that come up when shooting the aftermath of the tragedy. So for my community service, I really wanted to give back to my school because that's really been a huge part of my life and my fellow students. So there have been really 3 main parts of my community service. First would be my involvement in the other Governor School Seniors presentations. So I actually went to, I believe, 3 or 4 different students' projects and shot their photos, some of which have already been used in the presentation and will be used further. So that was the first part. I also began a photography club here at school that is ongoing. I actually just got it running, and we've had 3 meetings now this semester, and that is set to continue throughout the school year. We actually have one person in the audience who is interested in continuing. So I'd hope to be able to come back here one day and see that maybe even my kids could be a member of the photography club that I started. So I'm very proud of that. I've also worked with Greg Durazio at the LCPS Communications Office, who produces really the media and content for our school's public relations. So with him, I was able to produce this video for the CTE program at our school, which is the technical education. So this video I actually shot on my camera that I used for typical yearbook shooting and personal shooting. So really what got me into photography was filmmaking. So this was a really great opportunity to kind of explore my passion further and also help out the youth. The guitar is actually another way in which I was able to work with one of my fellow students, Dabney Coleman, who produced the music for that track. So that is really the third part of my community service, and we're currently working on how to mesh the photography club's content with the communications office in order to produce better content for them, and give the students in the photography club an opportunity to professionally outsource their photos to be used in public. So my research paper generally focused on the effect of mobile phones in photography as well as in society in general. So I think that pretty much everybody in here has a mobile phone that they shoot pictures on. And it's really incredible how that has shaped the medium as well as really society in general. So historically speaking, it has been the professional photojournalists who have produced content for large news corporations. This is really where I spent the bulk of my research paper. So since really the early 2000s, late 90s, more of what's called citizen photojournalists have been producing content for these publications. So this provides a few key benefits and disadvantages. The benefits, of course, would be to the news media corporations who are able to get content for cheaper because they're not having to keep a professional photographer on staff or as many professional photographers on staff. They're also able to source content from the actual moment that an event occurs because people will be out taking their cell phones and taking pictures of the event as it occurs. Of course, some of the disadvantages to this approach are that it's much more difficult to tell if the images that you're getting are really accurate because the photographer has no vested interest in keeping their images totally up to par. So there's a lot of digital manipulation that can be done to an image before it's submitted to a news organization. And I've not heard of any large examples of people getting caught doing this, but it does require the news corporations to keep people on staff to investigate that image and to really try to tell if there has been any tampering going on. Of course, this sort of mobile photography has also had a large impact on how people share their lives through social media. There's been many studies that have backed up that an image or that a post is much more likely to get likes if it has an image attached to it. So there's a huge interest in producing more images just by normal everyday people. And I believe that that's something that will continue, especially with advances in cellular photography, as well as both in the hardware, making higher resolution images, as well as in software that actually assists those photographers in the composition of the photo. So personally, this project has helped me out because it's allowed me to go into the real world and network with people who I've never met before. Really, throughout my entire governor school experience, I'd been able to, or I'd had the opportunity to reach out to other students through digital platforms and work with people who I didn't get to see every day. This project allowed me to take that step further and enter the professional world and really discover how to speak with adults more in a peer setting. And that's really something that I use every day. I've noticed that I've had a lot easier of a time, really even like just ordering food at a restaurant or talking to a cashier. So that's hugely impacted me already in my life, and I'm sure that it's something else that will continue to affect me. So next year, I'll be attending Mary Washington at the Honors College there. I've just made that decision 2 days ago. So I'm very excited for it, and I know I'll have a great time and learn a lot. So I'd like to thank, of course, Ms. Jackowitz, my senior advisor, as well as my two mentors, Terry Baiji and Greg Durazio, as well as Ms. Wildman, who has sponsored the photography club, and Dabney Coleman, of course, for the music and his friendship, and the whole Governor School administrative team for everything that they do. So, is there Absolutely. So one of the largest areas of my research paper really is the effect of this rise of cellular photography on professional photographers. So there's been a huge upwelling of people, which I mean, this sounds like a very foreign idea, of people just allowing their friends to take pictures on their phone instead of hiring a professional photographer to come and shoot an event. And it's had a huge, huge impact on professional photojournalists who used to be ubiquitous throughout the media industry, and now have really there's really very few professional photojournalists who are producing high quality content on a consistent basis for news media corporations. So, yes, absolutely. Yes. Well, I think that they're still trying to figure it out. So a lot of people have moved to senior portraits and things like that, where people are still interested in having a very well done professional photo. But there's really no place for professional photojournalists anymore. I mean, there's really like Time Magazine, who will always have a, and National Geographic, who will always have a strong media photography content. But there's very few spots there, and there's only places for people at the very top of their game. So it's it doesn't look very good for them. But but also there's a flip side to that, in that the general population is getting far better at photography. I mean, just in this room, I'm sure that there are many very talented photographers, probably more so than myself. So I mean, it's really incredible. It's totally opening up a whole new world for people interested in the subject. That's Caroline.
Throughout your research, did you interview anyone and get their perspective on how it's affecting photographers?
So I interviewed my mentor, and I asked her what her perspective on it. She really, one of the largest things that she said is that a lot of amateur photographers try to put a lot of filters on their photos, which I know that sounds kind of like a teenage thing to say, right? But it really degrades the image when people don't know how to use editing to enhance their photo, and instead just try to take a bad photo and make it worse by putting on some post production. So that's really the main theme that she gave to me. Of course, she does have a vested interest in being a professional photographer, but she was really incredible. She gave me a lot of really amazing information about both her experience as a professional photographer, the state of photography today, and what it's like to be a reporter. So, Ms. Purcell, did you have a question?
Well, first of all, great presentation.
Thank you.
Zach, very smooth all the way through. And my question is, congratulations on Mary Washington.
Thank you.
And do you plan to continue to pursue photography there?
So I don't believe that I'll be a professional photographer.
Okay.
I think that it's a great skill to have, especially in today's job market, and I think that I'll certainly continue it as a hobby. So I'm certainly glad to have it under my belt, so to speak. Oh, yes, sorry.
Did your mentor talk at all about, are there any professional photojournalists that are still using film, or is digital pretty much across the board now?
So we didn't really have that conversation. In my finding, it's been mostly digital, just because these people have to turn around an image so quickly, and it really helps to be able to see the picture that you're taking in camera. I know that in my personal experience, I've been used to kind of having to guess at what an image looks like before I even have it, and not even being assured that you'll still have that image after you're finished developing the film. There's so many things that can go wrong with production of film. So really, I think that the vast majority of photojournalists the remaining photojournalists that there are, have switched to digital. And I know that with her, she was talking in the world of professional portrait photography. Digital is almost ubiquitous because they have to turn around the image so quickly, of course, and they have to see what they're doing. There's the aesthetic to it. That's really the only one that I've found. Film is expensive. I mean, film cameras are getting cheaper because nobody really uses them anymore. But actually having is very expensive, and the chemicals that are used are toxic. I don't know, it's kind of scary, but and it's difficult. But I'm certainly glad that I've had the experience with it, because I think that it's made me better photographer. Really, I don't think that I would have had, or I don't think that I would have taken as much time to really study how the settings on my camera affected the image if I just had a digital camera and I could have just taken a picture and it been fine. When you have a film camera, you have to really study how to expose your image so that you're not letting too much light in or having too dark an image. So you really have to understand all of the factors at work much more. Yes.
And a lot of my friends are, they're getting married or, whatnot. And it's interesting going to a wedding where they announce, do not use your cell phone at all. And I absolutely love that to death, because there's nothing worse than seeing, wedding pictures of the bride coming down and everyone's leaned in doing that. Like the cell phones, I think they serve a good purpose for it, but I think they're a nuisance as well. So it's a small balance.
Well, also another thing that I found in my research and in personal experience is that when you're taking a picture, there have been studies that have shown that you're much less likely to remember the actual event. And so I think that that's definitely a huge factor. I know that, yeah, right? I mean, I know that when I'm actually on vacation or trying to have an experience, I'm not usually taking a lot of pictures, which people think that I would. But, I want to be there. So, yeah.